Let's take a look at another fun mask program from Macrosystem called Titlebacks. Titlebacks is a collection of 100 different graphics that can be placed over scenes. This program was mainly designed for the use of lower third backgrounds for your titles. Basically, the Titlebacks graphics load into your image pool or pattern generator, so you can use them on other packages or create still patterns of them. To work with the Titlebacks, we do need to be running at least version SmartEdit 3.6c or above. The Titlebacks is of course activated in this Install Product menu when you insert your All Software CD or All Software Smart Card and use the 12-digit code that your dealer provided for you so that you can activate the program. We can find the Titlebacks in several different menus, much like many of the other Mask series programs, as I like to call them, like BorderX or SplitX or Artbacks, etc. One of the menus that you can find it is under the New button. And here under New, this is where you do access the General Pattern Generator. Now the one thing about the Titlebacks here is that the Titlebacks lower third bars are not necessarily full video resolution. Which means since some of those masks do not utilize that full video resolution, they're going to get tiled or repeated when we put them into a larger display. So for instance, if we click on the pattern generator here and click Select Pattern, here's where you normally would create patterns from different products that you might have activated on the Casablanca. And here you see your first look at a list of all the different graphics that BorderX offers you. You can see you have some really fun, wild thirds that you can use as backgrounds for your titles. But if we use it here in the Select Pattern menu, when you hit OK to create your pattern and set your length, the OK closing of New, you'll see that will now repeat that border. So in order to fill the screen, this particular lower third pattern is tiled or repeated to fill your scene. This is not necessarily a main use of the Titlebacks program, but I did want to show it to you. Normally what you'll be using the Titlebacks for is to actually put in a lower third graphic that you might use as a background for titling. In this case, we have a shot of a talking head with a little animation going on next to him. And we're going to use the Titlebacks program to put on a lower third border here. So the Titlebacks program can be accessed here also under Special. If you scroll alphabetically south of the white line, you'll find these series of filters that also work in your image processing menu or here in the special bin. And I'm going to scroll all the way down here to Titlebacks. We can now see that we can choose to select a mask to put over this video scene. So I'm going to click on Select Mask. Here again, we want to make sure your product matches the type that you're using in the special bin. So I'm using Titlebacks in Special. Then I want to make sure I'm using Titlebacks here in the product. And this is in the case of the Mask X series of products. Here's our list of all the different types of Titlebacks that we can choose from. I'm just going to randomly click through here so you can see a few in the preview in this little video, so you can at least get an idea of a few options that Titlebacks offers you. Creating different weaving methods of putting these patterns together with colors and imagery. Just like your normal pattern generator, you have the choice to move up and down the list with your elevator slider, or come over here and choose one of your graphics that you like. And I'm going to choose this banded one here. And I can choose to colorize it or not colorize it. That's just an on-off switch. If I turn this on, when I click on Colorize, then I have the choice of, do I wish to mix 1 to 3 different colors inside this band? Do I want to adjust the brightness or the contrast or the color? And I might take out this yellow element. I might try and put in a darker blue using the color wheel here of the SmartEdit 4. It's kind of an interesting little band of color. And I can hit OK if I hadn't chosen a transparency level on this if I wanted to, but I'm going to leave this 100% solid. And I'm going to hit OK to close my pattern generator. And right now we can't actually see what's going on, so I might recommend clicking your full-size preview so you can see your scene. Here's our scene with our lower third graphic. And we also have a choice here of position. Now, depending on the type of graphic you chose from Titlebacks, these graphic arrows might make some manipulation of movement to slide it up or down a little bit, depending on which one you chose. In this case, if I choose one of these lower angles, it's going to push that down just a little bit, getting it closer to the lower levels. If I take it back to center here, I can always bump it up a little bit using one of these arrows here. Again, some of these arrows may not respond depending on which mask you chose in the title backs. But this looks a little high to me, so I'm going to use these arrows to push it down more towards the lower third of the screen, and then hit OK. Now I can create it by hitting OK to close special. Now here's our new scene with the graphic.
Thanks for taking the time today to learn more about the macro system.
With that graphic laid across the whole scene. This clip can then now be added to the storyboard, and then you can use your titles to add titles to this particular scene. Now, one other thing that the Titlebacks does offer, as earlier mentioned, this does allow you to reach in and get the Titlebacks from any of our pattern generators. So even if you went to the DVD program for Arabesque, you could use Titlebacks in your background. You can use Titlebacks in your Akaba for patterns, or use it in Motion 3D as patterns. Any place that we have the Image Pool Casablanca pattern generator, you can make this appear. This also includes the titling menu. So in this case, perhaps I don't want this Titlebacks to render across the entire scene like this. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that layered clip, and we're going to throw up our original on the storyboard and then take ourselves over to the main titling menu. Here in the main titling menu, we can go ahead and add our title effect to the storyboard, but you'll notice that it does default to the whole length of the scene. Perhaps you want this little graphic to come on at a certain time with your titles. So instead of having it render across the whole scene, I can click on our timer box here and choose to not use a complete scene here and select range and hit OK. And now I determine with my trims where do I want this title to start and where do I want it to end by selecting the in and the out buttons. So this title is just going to last 4 seconds. We'll see part of the video here, the title will come in, the title will stay on, the title will end, and here's the remaining portion of the scene. So I'll click on the big capital T hotkey to return back to the main titling menu. And we've set our effect to in-out fading pages, so that means our graphic and our titles will fade on or off. And I'm going to click on Enter Edit Text. Here we see a blank default title here for our titler. And I'm going to go ahead and start creating my graphics. The first thing you want to do when you're using the SmartEdit 4 titler is you do want to create your graphic box first, because we do stack these boxes on top of one another. So we want the graphic of the image from Titlebacks to be laid down first. So right now I'm working with my box 1 of 1. So I'm going to left click on graphics and turn on the background for this particular scene, or this box. Now I'm going to click on choose background. We can see that filled up the whole screen, and that's not what we're going to want. I'm going to switch from the border X mask here to Titlebacks and hit OK. Now again, I can reference my whole list of all the different types of Titlebacks graphics. And I might want to try and find one that seems most appropriate for my background. This one looks kind of neat. And I can choose to either colorize it again here, or use my positive or negative modes, or maybe even make it slightly transparent, which I'm going to do is take off a little of the solid color here, make it a little bit see-through, and hit OK. Now as a default, the Titlebacks is going to try and fill the whole screen. Right now your mode is saying, do you want this mode of the box to be free scalable so that when you size this, it's going to squeeze it to fit into whatever box parameters you set up? Or do you want to use its original aspect ratio or tile it and repeat it on the screen? Generally, I'd recommend you just leave this set to free scaled for your boxes. Your TE hotkey will take you back here, so I can go to the boxes menu. And here under the box menu, I'm going to size my graphic. So I'm going to squeeze it up, pushing it up, and then use the move to move it down. Now I have completely manipulated the full screen graphic. Instead of being squeezed to fill the whole screen, it's now been squeezed to be a smaller lower third image. And you can use your move and size buttons or use your trackball handles here to grab edges of this lower third. You can see I gave it an 80% transparency, so it is a little bit see-through. And now this is my box 1 of 1. I can now create a second box by clicking on Boxes and add a new box, which I might take up here. As a default, the Casablanca will load in that graphic in box number 2, but I don't want that. So I'm going to come to TE and Graphics and deactivate the graphic. Now, because we see a cursor here, it's ready to type. This is actually still a text box. So now I can go into Text, and I might type in a name. This is Chet Davis, our Vice President of Sales and Marketing and Education Director. And I'm going to change his font up a little bit, and this is completely your choice when you get into titling of what you'd like to work with. I'm just going to use a simple font and a very basic color. And to reference what I'm doing here, I'm kind of moving a little quickly through the titling menu. You can reference the SmartEdit 4 training video so you can get an idea of what we're doing here in the style and font to create your titles. I'm going to drop the size down a little bit. That's good. And now I can come over here to Boxes, and I can use Extended to minimize the size of the box. And now this title can be placed off-center on my background box. If I chose to keep just this one original box and type on this box here, then I am forced into keeping this centered, top, bottom, left, or right. I'm kind of trapped within the confines of this box for typing. But if I want to have my box so that the name is maybe a little off center, I can now do that because I'm using a separate text box at this point. And now I can click TE and hit OK. And now I can hit Create. And now we'll see that box fade in and out. So here's how it looks.
Taking the time today to learn more about the Macro System Louvre. Clearly.
Let's now suppose that maybe we wanted to try a different graphic, but we wanted the graphic to have a different motion than your title. So in this case, I might come down and choose a different motion effect, one like moving pages. This is one that comes free with your Casablanca. I can switch to default to show you. That's part of the default engine of the Titler program. And this allows you to have a motion path two-dimensionally of one of your titles. I'm going to go back into Enter Edit Text and choose to only have the graphic. So under Boxes, I'm going to delete the name box and leave the graphic where it is. That's positioned correctly. And then hit OK to close the titler. At this point, I might even come in and change the length of my title effect. In this case, I might choose a complete scene and set how long is my movement going to take. And the End button says how long will it take to come in with this graphic and how long will it take to go out with these directions. The In I'm going to have move to the left, and I'm going to have the Out move to the right. And here's a preview.
Thanks
So
for
In
taking the
slides
time
in
today to
our
learn more
lower
about the
third,
Macro System Louvre.
and then it'll
Clearly,
slide
we saw
off
how easy
back towards the direction it came. So I'm going to start out by creating that. Now, as a very popular effect, we can always do the Scene Layering button. So I can click on Scene, choose Effect, because in this case, the effect lasts the whole length of the scene. If this title effect was shorter and the scene was much longer, then we would have chosen Effect plus Scene. So I'm going to choose Effect and hit OK. And when I go back to the Edit menu, here is our new layered scene, appropriately named Moving Pages, that I can play.
Thanks for
And
taking
in
the
slides
time
in
today to
our
learn more about the
lower
Macro
third,
System Louvre. Clearly, we saw
and off
how
it
easy
slides. So now that can be added to the storyboard. Actually, I might even just do it real quick and do a replace. So this slides up underneath that original title. Now when I go back to titling, I can go back here to In-Out Fading Pages as my effect. And I can go to Enter Edit Text. All right, I've got my graphic as I last had it. Under Graphics, I'll turn this one off and go into Text. and type in my name. And we'll just size this down again. And now what's happening is, because we're looking at the first frame of that scene, we haven't seen that lower third slide in yet. So what I might need to do is come back out of here. I can hit OK to close this. And I'm going to come up to my titling range button here and set my in, so my title doesn't come on until after that's slid on into its place. And then I'm going to want it to fade off right as that box starts to leave. Pretty much set up originally like the 4 seconds. Now I'll go back to Enter Edit Text. Under Boxes, I'll extend and minimize the size of the box and put again this in the upper right corner. And of course I can always go back into the text buttons and change the fonts and styles on this, but I'm going to leave it blue for now. A darker font on top of a lighter background. And hit OK to close the text editor and create. Let's take a look at the final result. I'll come back to the Edit menu and play the whole scene.
Thanks for taking the time today to learn more about the Macro System Louvre. Clearly, we saw how easy.
So there, by using a layer, we were able to create one set with a moving box using title box, and then have another title applied that has the actual name key. And of course, we can always come to titling and make a scene effect plus scene, because we want the title to go with that background box, back down to our scene bin to have our final result. And then this might be added to your storyboard with your final production. So to give you more punch to your titles, or more options in your image pool anywhere on any of the add-on software or your Casablanca system software, give the title box a try. It can be put into a demo mode on your Casablanca or purchased through your area dealer.